Hello, Becky here. Welcome back to my channel. This is the third time I have tried recording this intro for my July Noir vlog. We're already into the last third of September, and I'm finally getting around to this July Noir vlog intro. I recorded the intro before filming anything else for this vlog and cannot find it anywhere. Looked everywhere for the footage, can't find it. So I recorded another intro. For the life of me, can't find it anywhere. I have no idea what is happening to my clips. So let me try to keep this short and sweet, because I don't know how many times I can explain what July Noir even is. I'll give you a little rundown of what July Noir is and what this vlog was about. So if you don't know, Bree from the Loc'd Booktician runs a readathon in October called Blackoween-a-thon, or Blackoween, and she decided to expand it to a couple of weeks in July for July Noir. And it is all about reading Black and Indigenous authors, especially like the spooky, crime, horror kind of reads that you would read in October. I'm not sure how many years she's been doing Blackoween, but in the past couple of years, she has set up a town with a map and different locations in it, and you can pick different characters, and then you play as that character, and you're trying to like make your way through the town kind of thing. And each location, like the church or I don't know if there's actually a church or not. There's the Bayou, I believe, and I know there's Shishi's Kitchen now, and a library, things like that. Each location has different prompts, and then you read the books to fill those prompts and make your way through the town. And in July, she decided that everyone was this one detective character, and I think we picked what location we wanted to try and work our way through. I have very limited mental resources when it comes to reading a lot of books in a month. People out there on BookTube are reading like 15, 20 books a month. I'm reading like 5 if I'm lucky. The first 2 weeks, not the first full 2 weeks, but there was 8 days of Summerween at the beginning of July, and then like the day Summerween ended, the next day July Noir started for the last 2 weeks of July. So I already had like my Summerween reads that I wanted to read and barely got to anything. We're not gonna talk about that. And then I read a few books in July, but I have lots of books by Black authors that I want to get to. Not all are scary. I have a mix of like crime fiction and romance that I wanted to read, and I couldn't find any books that would fit all of the prompts for like one location. So I just decided I'm just gonna read Black authors in July during the July Noir dates and not work my way through the town, the location, whatever, and just celebrate Black authors and reading Black literature. So that's what I did. I read a couple of books in this vlog that you will see. One was a suspense thriller. I read a romance, and I read 2 YA contemporary novels. So stay tuned to see what I read, what I thought, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about the stories, all of that good stuff. And comment down below if you have participated in July Noir in the past, or if you participate in Blackoween, and I will see you at the end of this vlog wrapping up. So today I started The Good House by Tananarive Due, and I am 2 hours and 8 minutes into a 22-hour book. So we will see how fast I can read this book. It's a long one. And then the other Tananarive Due, the reformatory I have, I think is 21 hours. But I picked The Good House first because there's like 3 people in line after me waiting for it. So I don't even know what this book is about, really. It is about this house called The Good House for several reasons, I guess. I think the guy who originally built it, his last name was Good or something. And then our main character, Angela, her grandmother, Marie, and her grandfather, there was like a landslide or something that happened near the house, and they saved a bunch of people and stuff from it. So they considered it like a sanctuary, a good house. And also the grandmother, Marie, was very gifted in medicine. A lot of people would have like considered her like a witch doctor or something, but she had actually trained professionally like as a nurse and just knew medicine. And I think her husband was indigenous, I believe it sounds like. So they just knew medicine and herbs and stuff like that, and she had teas that could fix like anything. So there's a few reasons why it's called the Good House. And we did get one scene so far of Grandma Marie's timeline, and somebody was brought to her for healing, but we don't know what happened there yet. I assume we will go back to that timeline, but we haven't yet, and I only have the audiobook, so I can't even like look ahead. I can't flip ahead or anything like that. And then the other timeline that we are in, I think is around 2001, I believe it said. And we are following Angela, and there was an incident at the house. She stayed there like during the summers, and her husband have been separated for the past 4 years. She got her son every summer, and then during the rest of the year he lived with the father. And this summer they were all together in the house and throwing a 4th of July party, and there was a tragic incident that happened at the house. And now we are 2 years past that tragic incident and following what happened with Angela from there and what she's doing with her life kind of thing. And that's it. I'm only 2 hours into a 22-hour book, so I am not that far in yet. But so far that's all that's happening. It's okay. I think the writing is fine and the audiobook is fine for it so far. There's nothing too exciting or anything, but I've heard so many good things about Tananarive. I don't know if she's going to be an author for me or not. Obviously, like, none of us know that going into a new book, into a new author. It might be a little bit slow for me, so I am glad that I have the audiobook for it though. And I have tons of crafting type stuff I can do at home. Plus I have to do laundry and dishes and just general housekeeping stuff when I have the energy for it. I am currently just waiting for my daughter. She's at an event at the library. I signed her up for like a whole bunch of tween create and stuff like that, and tween night out and whatever. The library is an awesome resource here for free events. Tomorrow I'm going to quill art, porcupine quill art, indigenous art thing. Last week I did craft and chat they do once a month. I've done beading there. Like, beyond getting free books, video games, they have board games you can take out now. They have like activity kits. You could take out like a telescope kind of thing. Like, our library is such an awesome resource here. So I will have to do like a library vlog one of these days, like other people have been doing. Like, Gavin is doing his library challenge, and Kayla just did her Libby chooses what she reads, which Libby is an online resource that runs through your library that does audio, and that's where I'm listening to this book from. So all 3 of my audiobooks, the Yinika, Where Is Your Husband, The Good House, and The Reformatory, that were all through Libby. So that runs through your library, everything. My library is such an awesome resource. So my daughter's just there doing reverse painting. I don't know what that is, but I'll let you know when my daughter tells me. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to listening to the book. It is really hot in here. I have to keep the car running, and then we will be heading home and working on something. I don't know. I'll find something to do and hopefully stay awake. I'm exhausted all of the time right now. I'm having such a hard time sleeping. My hips hurt. I have to lie on my side. When you are pregnant, like, I sleep on my stomach for the most part, but I'm far enough into the pregnancy now, 29 weeks, that I don't want to crush my baby and they're gonna be like kicking me constantly and being like, move off of me. And you're not supposed to lie flat on your back either. That can be bad for blood circulation. So you're supposed to lie on either side. And then I wake up with an extremely sore hips from lying like on top of my hip, and then I flip over and then the other hip hurts, and then plus I'm up every about 2 hours to go to the bathroom. So I'm exhausted all the time, so that's great. So hopefully I can stay awake and just get some stuff done today. And I will update when I have more to say. There's not really a lot to talk about in the book right now. So far I'm not hating it, so that's good. And yeah, I'll update and let you know what reverse painting is. Okay, Maya, tell us what reverse painting is.
You took a piece of paper, put the paint on it, but not with a paintbrush, just like poured it from the container.
Oh, okay.
And then you put it on top of here and you smudge it around.
Oh.
And then I made grass, but I used a paintbrush to make it look like grass.
So is this supposed to be like a sunrise, sunset, just
Yes.
colors?
All of the above.
Was it fun?
Yeah.
So I am 47% of the way through Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? And I'm really enjoying it right now. I mentioned that I got the audiobook for it, so that's been helping get through it a little bit more. And I'm loving all the different accents and stuff because some of the girls' families are from Ghana and they're also in London, so there's a couple of different accents going on. Anyways, that's really nice to hear through the audiobook. I keep promising myself that I'm gonna go for walks and not doing it because it's hot, I'm tired, I feel like a beached whale right now. I am 29 weeks pregnant today, so I'm feeling like 39 weeks pregnant. I'm feeling okay, just sore, very, very sore. Anyways, I've finally gotten out for a little bit of a walk. I have to go pick up groceries in the next half hour or so, and I just started my walk. Yeah, just a little quick walk with me and the dog. I needed a break from the kids. My sons have been fighting like crazy. They're 9 and 3 years old. Like, come on, guys. Really, just leave the baby alone. He's 3. And the 3-year-old is having the usual tantrums and meltdowns and fake crying most of the day. So that's really, really annoying. Not gonna lie. So, yeah. I just needed a bit of a break, so my daughter's watching them. I asked my husband if he wanted to come out for a walk with me after we pick up groceries, and then found out he's working a 12-hour day instead of a 10-hour day. So I just decided to take the doggy out for a walk by myself and to get a break from the kids because I'm going insane. I just got new shoes so I could do more walking without flip-flops on. These are the kind of shoes that like slip on and off without bending down. No more bending is what the box said on it. And I think they're a little big, but they're good so far and more stable than flip-flops. And so far I am really, really liking Yinka. Where is your husband? I really like the family, like the kind of close-knit family. It's one of those ones where, you know, you tell one person and everyone finds out. Like, if you tell your auntie, then she's going to tell your mom, or if you tell your cousin, she's going to tell her mom, who's then going to tell your mom, kind of thing. So it's a little bit messy that way, but I feel like all big families are kind of like that. There's no secrets in them. And Yinka is friends with a couple of her old co-workers, so you see some interactions with them, which is cool. And then she has a couple of friends as well, and one of them, her cousin is getting married, Yinka's cousin, and her cousin and her friends, like they're all friends together, so they are all part of this like group chat because they're all going to be bridesmaids, and so there's all this wedding planning going on. And then Yinka's trying to find a date for the wedding because she's, I think, 32 and still single. And obviously the book is called Where's Your Husband, so everyone's like constantly calling her out and being like her mom and her aunt and stuff is constantly like, okay, Yinka, where's your husband? Where's your husband? When are you getting married? Make sure you wear something nice, not just jeans all the time. How are you ever going to find a boy like that? How are you ever going to find a husband like that, right? But she does want to find a husband, so she has a goal to get a date for her cousin's wedding, which the book starts in January and her cousin's getting married in July. So she has like 6 months to find a date. Not a husband, but a date anyways. It has been a couple of weeks since I read Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? And I have read a few other books since then as well, of course. But we were out on vacation and I had absolutely no time to sit down and record anything. So I'm finally sitting down here, and I was walking and talking and filming all at the same time, but my dog got distracted by something and she was pulling, and there were other people occasionally, and it was really awkward to keep filming and talking at the same time, so I decided to just film and do a voiceover clip here. So I just wanted to keep talking a little bit about Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? I ended up really, really enjoying this story, and it is actually a Christian story, and it is not spicy at all. So if you are looking for a contemporary story with a little bit of romance, but more so a story of self-discovery and becoming happy with who you are and making decisions that it is not important to be in a relationship, but it is important to know who you are and be happy with who you are and where you are in life, before searching for romance. If you are interested in that kind of story, then this is definitely a book for you. I really enjoyed it. I loved the family dynamics. There was definitely some drama there. There was some things that needed to be worked through, like within any family. Just having the parents respect your wishes and coming from a different generation and everything like that. And there was talk about therapy and if therapy is beneficial or not, and how one person going to therapy can actually help a group dynamic and everything. And there was drama between family members and friends, but also coming back together and working through that and growing and self-discovery and everything in this book. And I really, really just loved it and appreciated the story. And this is totally the kind of story that I enjoy reading. It wasn't full-on romance. It was more the self-discovery journey, but I really appreciated what was being said about growing and becoming a healthy individual first before getting into a couple, before trying to be happy in a relationship. So I really appreciated and enjoyed that aspect of this story. I would highly recommend Yanka, Where Is Your Husband? If that is the kind of contemporary self-discovery story of somebody in their 30s. I think Yanka is around 32 years old. It is not a teenage coming of age story, but a growing and maturing story as a 30-year-old adult woman. Yeah, I think I would give this like a 4.5, 5 stars for sure. I really enjoyed this story and look forward to reading more of her books in the future. Anyone else? Lighting is like the most difficult thing when it comes to filming. I cannot get the lighting right in this corner. I always mention this. I have no windows down here in this corner, so there's no natural light, which is really frustrating. And I have a whole bunch of like ring lights and other lights to use, but I don't want to spend all of the time setting them up every time. They're not like permanent or anything. My husband got me this big bright light above us. It's like this big circle light, but it's in the middle. So it's like back a little bit more from, I sit way back at this wall and then this light's in the middle and it's not the best, but we're going to work with what we have for now. And you're just going to have to look at me in shadow apparently. Spend all this time on makeup just to sit in the shadows anyways. What's the point? And then I take my glasses off and look at those dark circles. Like, that's intense. Anyways, I am still listening to The Good House by Tananarive Due. I am not quite 50% of the way through, I think. Last time I checked, I know I listened to 8 hours and I had 12 left. I can't remember, but I am closer to the 50% mark now. And it is very slow. It is a 22-hour book, so things are moving pretty slowly, I find, but I don't even know what this book is about. Like, I never went and read a synopsis or anything like that. I just went off of Bree's recommendation, and a lot of people talk about Tananarive Due and how much they love her, so I just picked it up because it was available. And I also have The Reformatory, which sounds really interesting. I think I know a little bit more about that one, but there's like people, it's telling me that people are waiting for it on Libby, so that's kind of stressful, but whatever, I have the hold. I'm holding on to it for now. The Good House is getting a little bit creepier because it is slower. It's not right off the jump, things are weird. You get a weird sense of things. right? It's slowly as you're learning the story, you're like, oh, this thing happened on the 4th of July. Oh, and this thing like 70 years ago also happened on the 4th of July. Oh, and last year this thing happened on the 4th of July. So you're slowly learning these different stories and everything, and then you're realizing like, oh, this is kind of weird. And there's something wrong with like the bathtub in the house that Angela is staying at, her grandmother's house, the good house. She has to go back because she's considering selling it, and it's old and it needs upkeep and stuff. She hasn't been back since this tragedy happened. I don't want to give away spoilers or anything, but this tragic event happened 2 years ago, and now she's finally going back to check on the house, and there's just like little things that are happening that she's like, okay, why is there mud in the bathtub, for instance? And she's talking to the housekeeper that she's hired to, you know, dust and just keep up on the house, because even with no one living there, you know, dust gathers and stuff. And then if there's any major repair issues or anything, her husband and stuff is there to see. They're an older couple, but they're still there to see if anything's going wrong, right? And it's like, she's talking to the housekeeper like, why is there mud in the bathtub, for instance? And then there's a story about what happened back when her grandmother, the very beginning of the book, we get a scene with the grandmother trying to heal somebody, but we don't get the full scene. And something happened at that point that involved mud and stuff like that. So you're like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And then there's another character, Angie's ex-husband, and he's acting really weird all of a sudden. And he's like, oh, I gave up doing cocaine, and I gave up this and I gave up that, and I'm just addicted to reading books now, and I'm clean and all this stuff. But his personality is really changing all of a sudden, and he's having these more like really intense, angry thoughts that are going to lead to violence. Like, he wants to cause violence, and you're like, okay, that's really scary. So there's that. And there's another death that happens, which was really sad. We're not like super connected to that character or anything, but we do get a chapter from his perspective, and we know him through the other people and stuff. And it was just like really sad when he died. I was like, he's such a good guy, but he was like on the property that the good house is on. There's like 60 acres or whatever. So it's quite large, and he's always had permission to go and like gather the fruits. And there's like a walnut tree, and he can gather the fruits, the nuts, the herbs, anything he finds there. The grandmother used to make tea there that would cure like everything. So he's been making teas that help him and his kids. He talked about they all had the flu like the year before, and he made them this tea, and the flu was gone within a day. So he's always had permission to go there, and he was there. And then a couple days later, he dies. He got hit by a car. He was crossing the street on foot, and he got hit by a vehicle. Again, I don't want to give away too much, but just like the look on his face and what he was doing was just really kind of eerie and weird. And you're like, that's unnatural. Yeah, things are weird and they're creepy, but it's very like slow as you're trying to figure out this mystery because of the one death. And again, I haven't checked the synopsis, so I don't know if it talks about who died. It probably does, but you can read the synopsis if you want. It's been only 2 years since this person died. It's not like super far in the past or anything, but there's questions that are coming up around that, and questions with like the property, and is there magic happening? The grandmother was known for doing things like voodoo, and was it actually voodoo, or is it just superstition or whatever, right? So a lot of questions are coming up, and they're investigating these scenarios, trying to figure out the answers to all of these questions, and all this like weird stuff is just coming up around it. So that's interesting anyways, for sure. So I'm gonna keep up with it. I do want to finish the book. I do want to find out what happens, and if it gets more gory, creepy horror, or if it just stays more slow and steady. We'll see. Yesterday I went to the library. My daughter had a art class. It was like a string art that she was doing for an hour, and the library is at the very front of the rec center here in town. So they have an indoor park there that I took my toddler to, so he could run around for the hour and burn off energy and whatever while she was at the library, and then I could read. Because if I take him to the library, he, like last time we were there with my other son, they were literally knocking books off the shelves, and it was not a good time for me whatsoever. He will run from one end of the library to the other, back and forth, and just want to like, the one end has coloring, and then the other end has a few little games and stuff. And I think I could request to take out Lego or magnet tiles or whatever, not like to take home, but just to play with at the library. But I just didn't want to. I just want to be able to sit and read and watch him play without chasing him around the library. So I was like, I'll just take him to the park. And I read Long Way Down. I read about half of it at the park and then the other half before going to bed last night. So I read like a 400-page book all in one day. So that's pretty amazing. But it probably equals to like 100 pages. This is my first Jason Reynolds book as well. And I've heard lots of good things about this. Long Way Down is about this kid, Will, whose brother dies right at the very beginning of the book. He is shot and killed. And it's just Will and his friend and Sean and stuff. They're all outside kind of thing. Shots come up out of nowhere. You know, they all duck and hide for cover kind of thing. And then when it's all said and done, they get up and Will's brother has died. It's very tragic, of course. He is 19, I believe, the brother, and then Will is 15. And he finds his brother's gun in a drawer in the room that they share. And in the story, he is talking about the rules in this neighborhood. You don't cry, you don't snitch, and you always get revenge. So he finds this gun and it's loaded, and he is going to go get revenge on whoever killed his brother. At the beginning of the book, he's 100% certain it was this guy. I know it was him. I know he killed my brother. So he gets in this elevator, and tell me, do elevators count as technology? Because for the buzzword cover challenge that Kayla from Books and Lala does, July's cover challenge is technology, and I have no books that I want to read this month that have technology on them, like a cell phone or like a TV or a computer or anything. And I was asking my husband yesterday, I just noticed that there is a guy. I just thought it was shadows. You can see his reflection in the elevator. I asked my husband yesterday, do elevators count as technology? And at first he was like, no, because he's thinking like video games and cell phones and stuff. But he's like, in the broad sense of technology, yes, technically an elevator is technology. So I might have to count this as my buzzword cover challenge book. Anyways, Will gets on this elevator. He's got a loaded gun. His mom is asleep at the table where she fell asleep crying, drinking, mourning the loss of her son, and Will is going to go get revenge. And on his way down from the 7th or 8th floor, or whatever, the 7th floor, down to the lobby, a new person gets on at each floor. But the person who gets on is someone who has been killed in the same way that Will's brother Sean was killed, through gun violence on the streets. And it's so tragic because one of the kids in here is killed when they're 8. Like, that's just unbelievable. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Canadian, and there's obviously some gun violence and stuff here, but it's not like it is in the States. We don't have the school shootings, and I'm not scared to send my kids out to like the park or anything like that. I mean, we live in a decent neighborhood anyways, but there's still crime where I live, and nowhere is 100% safe, right? If books have taught me anything, and the world has taught me anything, but I'm not scared sending my kids to school, or no more than the average person who has to send their children into like middle school and hope that they survive bullying and all of just normal kid stuff, right? Like, I am not scared for my kids' lives due to guns. Would that be different if we were darker skinned? Would I feel the same way? I honestly can't answer that question, but I think I would not have that fear of gun violence, maybe more of the bullying and racism and things like that, but not fearing for my child's life due to gangs in the neighborhood and just violence and stray bullets and stuff. Again, not that it never happens. We didn't always grow up in the best of neighborhoods when I was a kid, but I don't remember ever like fearing guns either. Anyways, that's just so tragic that kids, young kids get caught up in it. And on the other side of that, there's kids, like there's one kid in here, I don't know how old he is, but he's like maybe 12 or something. And he was talking about like, yeah, I saw this, I saw that. And there's no snitching. That's part of the rules. But he wasn't talking to the cops. He was just talking to the people around, right? In the neighborhood, who was like, did anyone see who pulled that gun kind of thing? So little kids are getting caught up in the violence, but they're also watching their siblings and friends and peers and the people in the neighborhood getting caught up in these gangs and this lifestyle, and looking up to them like heroes and wanting to be like them. Like, I want to be like you when I get older, and I want to protect my territory, and I want to protect my younger siblings or my friends or my girlfriend or whatever it is, right? So it is so sad to just see how it affects everybody in different ways. So as Will is going down this elevator, he's being visited by these ghosts, basically, and they're kind of talking about they're challenging him about going to get revenge. And they're challenging the rules, like you don't cry. And you always get revenge, but then he's realizing like one of the people in here has died because he killed somebody to get revenge on his brother, or revenge for his brother. And then whoever he killed, their person is trying to get revenge for them and killed this guy. And it turns out that the guy, he killed the wrong person. The person he killed didn't kill his brother, kind of thing. And it's making Will think, like, am I 100% sure that the person I think who killed my brother is the person who killed my brother? Am I really sure about this? And they're challenging him, like, have you ever even held a gun? Could you shoot a gun? The one person he talks to was a storyteller and wanted to make a movie, kind of thing. So he's like, let's run through this scene. Okay, you get the gun, you show up at this guy's apartment, then what happens? Okay, the guy comes downstairs, he opens the door, you shoot him, then what happens? Then what? Then what? And he's really making Will go through the scenario and to speak it out loud. This is what I'm gonna do. And it really makes you think, right? Like, just saying like, oh, I'm gonna go get revenge for whoever killed my brother, I'm gonna go get revenge for my brother, is one thing. But to actually sit through that scenario and think about it and talk it out is a completely different thing. It makes you really question, is this the right move that I'm making? So this book was really interesting. It was heartbreaking. It was a very fast and easy read in some ways. Easy, because it's all told in verse. Like, some of the pages have like one word on it. And it was really interesting in the way it's broken up. Each floor that the elevator stops on, it's like, oh, the elevator stopped and he's on floor 4, and then who's gonna get in and talk to him there, right? His ghosts of the past kind of thing. And one of the first things I highlighted in this, he talks about, it's so hard to say Sean's dead. Sean's dead. Sean's dead. So strange to say, so sad. But I guess not surprising, which I guess is even stranger and even sadder. So that one really hit me too. Like, the fact that it's not surprising is what's so sad about it. It's just expected and kind of accepted, and it's tragic, and you mourn the people who have been shot, you mourn the people who have been killed, and you pray for your kids, and you hope that doesn't happen to them, but you're also not surprised when it does. And that's just so heartbreaking. And for all those who are living in those places, who are living in areas where it is dangerous and stuff, like, my heart just goes out to you, because that's absolutely terrifying, and I couldn't imagine living in those places. And I would want to move my family and not be there, but not everyone has that opportunity. We are pretty privileged where we are, and with my husband's job and our income and everything isn't anything to scoff at. But right now where we are financially, we're doing okay, but it wouldn't be easy for us to move because we're tied up in mortgages and our house is worth less than what we owe on it and stuff. So it wouldn't be an easy move to make. So I could only imagine, like, as privileged as I am, how hard it would be to move. There are people out there who do not have options, and they are stuck in these situations that they don't want to be in. Or, you know, like, your whole family lives there and you don't want to leave the neighborhood either because you, in some ways, you really love it, right? So it's a hard situation all around for sure. But so far, that's how my July Noir is going. I've listened or read Yannicka, Where Is Your Husband? And The Long Way Down, and have just listened to just under half of The Good House. And I'm planning on picking up this week Dear Martin, because I think I can read this one really fast. This one is more of an actual novel, a little bit more than The Long Way Down was, but there's also letters in it. And I know it'll be a faster read. I don't know if I'll finish it all in one day. It's 208 pages, so I might be able to finish it in a day. That day will not be today, but I'm hoping I can get to this week. Jason Reynolds himself blurbed it. Yeah, I will update when I've listened to more of The Good House and have picked this up, I guess. I have under 5 hours of The Good House left. I don't really have a lot more to say about the book. It's getting more intense and creepy, I guess. It's very spiritual, demonic possession kind of story. And it's interesting because it has like African or Dominican folklore and stuff in it. There's something like the spirit called the Baka, and also Christianity as well. Like they're using prayer and their own spiritual beliefs. So it's kind of interesting how they're blending multiple different beliefs and faith systems together to fight like against this spiritual enemy, this spiritual attack, this like literal like demonic possession attack thing that is happening. So that's interesting. As a Christian myself, I definitely believe in spiritual forces, good and evil, angels and demons, demonic stuff, in Satan, and I do believe possession can happen. I don't think it's quite as frequent as some people might think. And it's definitely seen, from what I know and what I've heard, it's definitely seen more in countries and communities and places where they are more open to spiritual things. And even in this book, they talk about practicing voodoo. People who are mixed up more in spiritual things like that and calling down spirits and practicing magic, basically witchcraft, things like that. You see more of the spiritual side of things, but it's definitely, I believe that there is spiritual forces around us all of the time, no matter what circumstances we are in, whether we sense it or not. I do believe that there is a spiritual world alongside this physical world. So that has been interesting. And they're getting to the climax part now where they're going to be fighting this Baka spirit demon thing, whatever it is. I'm interested to see how all that goes down and what happens with that. So I'm doing laundry and I gotta fold and put away and pack things. So let's do that while I listen to more of The Good House, and I plan on finishing that today and physically reading Dear Martin, which I started already and read like a chapter and a half. So I read 2 YA novels. One was The Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, I believe. And that story made me very sad. It was so devastating. It is about these 2 brothers. The one is shot at the very beginning of the book through like gang violence and he dies. And his brother's there and kind of witnesses it. They all like hear gunshots and hit the ground kind of thing. So I don't think he witnesses the actual physical shooting, but he's still there and a part of it. And then the brother is decided that he's going to get revenge and kill the person who killed his brother. So that one is really, really, really sad. I also read Dear Martin by Nick Stone, and this one is sad, but also made me very angry. I had a lot of emotions reading this one that were like mostly anger at what happens in this story. So let's see what the synopsis is. Justice McAllister is top of his class and set for a bright future, but none of that matters to the police officer who just put him in handcuffs. And despite leaving his rough neighborhood behind, he can't escape the scorn of his former peers or the ridicule of his new classmates. Justice looks to the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for answers, but do they hold up anymore? He starts to journal to Dr. King to find out. Then comes the day Justice goes driving with his best friend Manny, windows rolled down, music turned up, way up, sparking the fury of a white off-duty cop beside them. Words fly, shots are fired. Justice and Manny are caught in the crosshairs. In the media fallout, it's Justice who is under attack. Riveting and revealing, New York Times bestselling author Nick Stone boldly tackles American race relations in this stunning debut. Jasper, are we going on a bear hunt? Can we tiptoe? Tiptoe, tiptoe.
Keep and making a bear stop. I keep making a bear stop.
He's
Okay.
Jasper, bear hunt. You got tiptoe.
I didn't realize this was her debut novel. And there's also a sequel to this called Dear Justice, I believe, and it's somebody writing to the main character in this. And it's not all told through letters or it's journal entries, right? Sorry, my toddler's playing games and it's hard to keep him quiet. But he starts writing these journal entries to Martin Luther King Jr. But it's not all told through letters or journal entries or whatever. There is like a full-on story in here. And at the beginning of the book, he's put in handcuffs because his ex-girlfriend is drunk and there's something wrong with it. She can't get into her car or it's out of gas. There's something going on and he's walking to her place and his friend Manny, he leaves Manny's house to go help this girl, his ex-girlfriend, and he's like, dude, she's trouble. Like, you guys broke up, let somebody else deal with it, whatever. And he's like, no, I can't just leave her. And I think she's fairly light-skinned and he's clearly much darker than her and she's struggling to get in the car and he's taking her keys away from her because she's like really intoxicated, in no condition to drive whatsoever. This cop pulls up on them. They're in like a gas station parking lot. I'm not sure why the cop came by, if he was just driving by and thought he saw a struggle. I'm not sure why the cops were even there. I don't think anyone called them. I don't know, but that doesn't matter. They see him struggling and fighting with this girl and I think he's in the back of her car trying to find something or whatever, and the cop thinks that he's taking advantage of this woman and he puts him in handcuffs and has him just sitting on the sidewalk. I don't think he ends up going to the police station. I think he's released right there in the parking lot, but it's still... Oh, the cop is saying, I know you're kind. Punks like you wander the streets of nice neighborhoods searching for prey. Just couldn't resist the pretty white girl who locked her keys in the car, could ya? So that's what happened. He was trying to get her keys out of the car for her. Or that's what the cop believes happened. Because he's like, Justice is like, that doesn't make any sense. In his mind, he's thinking, that doesn't make any sense because I was in her car. How would I have gotten to her car if the keys were locked in? I can't remember if he went to the police station or not. It doesn't really matter. But he's arrested for that and it's like humiliating to him and he's questioning everything now because he mentions in his first letter to Dr. King, I apparently looked so menacing in my prep school hoodie, the cop who cuffed me called for backup. And like he's saying like he's a smart kid, he goes to prep school, like private school, has his whole future ahead of him, you know, the typical story, but he's just seen as a thug because he's got dark skin and he was wearing a hoodie with the hood up. That really rattles him and puts him on this journey of trying to figure out like, how can I, like Martin Luther King Jr., how can I invoke change in society, in the world? How can I resist without being seen as a troublemaker, a thug? How can I be a black man living in this world, in America, during this time and keep my head about me and just be seen as a good person, just be seen as human kind of thing, right? Like, this is what kicks it all off. His friend Manny has known these kids his whole life, basically like since kindergarten, and Manny is black and these kids that he's friends with are white, and the one kid is like super racist, super insensitive, super ignorant on realizing that what he's saying is racist. He's like, well, Manny doesn't say anything. Manny doesn't say that what I'm saying is racist. Like, Manny doesn't care, so obviously what I'm saying isn't racist. So therefore it can't be racist because this one black guy who's my friend doesn't say anything. But Manny's just kind of like, I've known him my entire life. Like, what am I supposed to say? He doesn't want to rock the boat, anything like that. And he kind of is just like, oh, that's just, I can't remember the kid's name. But he's like, oh, that's just Jared, I think is the one. He's like, that's just Jared and his personality kind of thing. And he just brushes it off, right? You're getting a perspective from these white, rich, privileged kids. You're seeing their perspective and how they think it's okay to think the way they think and say the things they say, and how they excuse their behavior and talk it away kind of thing. It's interesting that way too. Like, they made me so angry and I did not like them, but it was interesting to get their, you're not getting their perspective, but you're hearing their thoughts like in dialogue and how people especially teenagers, they don't understand what they're saying. Like everything is so black and white, right? And he's talking about like if Justice gets into like Harvard or something and Jared doesn't, it's because Justice is black. Even though they have the same test scores and everything like that, Justice does like 2 points less than Jared got on his test score. So therefore, Justice gets in because they have to meet some kind of quota for minority people, right? And you understand like Jared and these white privileged kids are hearing these messages from their parents and the adults in their lives that are saying like, oh, they're just trying to meet a quota. And it doesn't matter how equal you are in SAT scores or whatever, the BIPOC minority people are going to have that advantage over you because of the color of their skin. And that's it. And that's unfair, and they're stealing our spots in university or in jobs or whatever. You're seeing it from the perspective of the kids who are obviously learning this from the adults. So even though it's like really angering, you also kind of understand like they're teenagers and they don't know any better. They're just repeating what they've heard from others, right? So it was interesting to get those perspectives as well. It's not just Justice and his experience of being wrongfully arrested, but his whole experience of dealing with these kids at school and stuff like that. So there is so much that happens in here that I forgot my bookmark. I always lose bookmarks, and I open up a book that I read months ago and find them. But there's so much in here that I highlighted and underlined, and the end of part 1 made me so angry and upset. It points out a lot of like, what are those like microaggressions and stuff that you don't necessarily realize are aggressions, that you don't necessarily realize are racist or wrong in some way. Like this one family, Justice walks into their house and they have a poster on the wall that's like extremely racist, but it's from, and I was looking it up, and it's from like a circus kind of act from like the 1800s, and people were dressing up as blackface, and Justice is so like upset about it, and the person who lives there, the kid who lives there, is like, why does it even matter? Like, we have it hanging up because my mom's great uncle was an actor in that performance. Like, this is part of our history. And I was like, it's so interesting and complex because it's not right. Doing that blackface was wrong. It was wrong back then, it was wrong now, but also like that is her family and it is a part of her history as well. Like, should you be hanging it on the wall and showing it off? Like, no, maybe not. But it's kind of like for them, they're just like, oh look, my great uncle was an actor in this circus performance thing. Isn't that cool? And then somebody else comes in, like Justice, and is like, that's not cool, that's racist, right? So it's pointing out those things. Like, you're not thinking necessarily that it's racist or why it's wrong. You're just innocently putting it up. You're naive, you're ignorant, whatever. And Nick Stone, through the story, is showing us why these things are not right and pointing it out. So I liked that. And then also, they have a class at school. I can't remember what it's called. Societal Evolution. That sounds like a really interesting class. I did not have classes like that when I was a kid at all. Like, they're more advanced than I ever was or even am now with things like what's happening in society and racism and social justice and stuff like that. Like, I never learned any of that stuff as a kid at all. But Justice is going to his Societal Evolution class. The bell rings and Doc, the teacher, closes the door and turns around to face the class. But before he can say good morning, Jared's hand is in the air. And then it goes like back and forth saying like, Doc, yes, Mr. Christensen? Jared, I have something I'd like to discuss today, sir. Doc, okay, let's hear it. And then it goes like Jared, and then Justice, his eyebrows raise, and then SJ, Sarah something, I think. She responds, and then Jared, Doc, Justice, Jared, Manny, Justice, Jared. And it goes like that and does the dialogue that way without all the extra like filler stuff in the sentences. It's just showing their dialogue, and then sometimes facial expressions like Justice raises his eyebrows like, oh, here we go. And then like the whole chapter is like that, broken up into their speech like that. And I liked that because it's not the whole thing. It's not a play or anything like that. But it made it for a fast, quick read. Like it feels like the debate, the conversation going back and forth really fast without a bunch of the filler stuff in there. I really enjoyed this book. I'd give this like a 5 out of 5 for sure. And I definitely want to buy the next one, the Dear Justice one. I just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. But this was really good and brought up some really good conversations. And I think I'll pass it on to my kids to read as well.
This is for your trip. This is why I wanted to go to the mall so bad.
Yeah. Could have gone tomorrow.
No.
Okay. Am I supposed to open it now?
Yeah.
A mystery thriller.
Hope you like it.
Do you want me to open it now?
It's up to you. I switched out the tea.
Oh, nice.
The original tea was like a chamomile or something. I was like, she doesn't like chamomile. I was like, oh, spicy chai. That's better.
Did you see this sticker?
Oh, it's glittery.
Yeah.
And out of all the things, I was like, that's
This
probably
one's
the one
also
she's gonna like the
glittery.
most, like mystery thriller.
Yeah.
Because the other ones were fantasy, romance, spicy,
Yeah.
and then there was horror, and then another romance, and that was it.
Yeah. I like romance, but in the shadow of darkness, the crow's caw broke the silence of the night.
Oh, and they had one other category which was special edition book, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, it's gonna be a book. Like, what if it's a book you don't want to read?
Yeah.
Or what if it's a book you already have?
Oh, this one's Dark Academia.
Yeah, it sounds kind of neat.
We'll see. Hopefully it's not that one I read that was really bad.
No.
This, you always get this bookmark. So am I opening this now, apparently?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I would like you to. But...
I like the pretty sticker on it. It's like a... She wraps these, like, so tightly that you have to, like, rip them apart. Oh, there's more. Coffin. You watched my video. Did you see Jesper get scared of the skull bookmark?
Yeah, I think so.
I showed it to him and he was like, whoa. It's the one where I opened this in it.
Yes, I remember you opening one of those in it.
If we were villains. I have not read this one.
Have you heard about it?
I've heard of it. Well, the fact that I said the name of it before I even had it fully open tells you I probably have heard of it. Oh, this is the one that's like a Shakespeare play.
You think you're gonna like it?
We'll see. I kind of know what it's about. Like, it's a... Some people like it, some don't. It's kind of mixed, right? You know what I mean? But it's not like overwhelmingly loved or hated, so... Thank you.
What a gift for your trip.
Yeah, that's good, because I had no books to bring with me.
No, of course not. I know you don't have anything in your TBR.
Yeah, exactly.
TBR is like empty.
Yeah, exactly. This cover is so plain.
I was just thinking that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a boring cover. It's literally black and white, and it's got a couple of vines on it.
I'm pretty sure the normal cover has a skull on it. Thank you.
Welcome. Love you.
Love you too. As I was wrapping up my July Noir vlog, my storage on my phone just completely filled up and stopped recording. So I was like right in the middle of a sentence when it cut off. I was talking about allowing my 2 older children to read Dear Martin in the next couple years as they get to the appropriate age. My daughters are currently 13 and 11, about to be 12 and 14. So I think they are mature enough that they could read it. And I think it's almost kind of good to read these kind of books a little bit before you're in that time, because it helps you prepare for what's about to come up. Obviously, you have to determine what your kids' mental maturity is and being able to handle certain topics. But reading a book, not too far in advance, obviously, but like within a year of that time, because Justice is in high school. I think he's around 16. So reading it when you're like 14, 15 is great to help you like prepare for coming into that kind of environment, that age, whatever the situations are that are in the book. But I think it's a quick, easy read in the sense of the way it is formatted. Like I was talking about, there are certain parts that are told just as the dialogue and it moves very quickly, and it's a fairly short book. The topics and stuff aren't necessarily the easiest things to read, and the content of the book is difficult, but the actual reading comprehension of it and everything, I think, is easy enough that my kids would be able to understand it within the next couple years. I also included a clip at the end here where my husband very kindly gifted me a book from a local place in town that does the blind date with a books, and it was If We Were Villains, I believe it was called. I read it while we were in Edmonton and in Quebec at the end of July, beginning of August, and I enjoyed that book. It wasn't part of July Noir or anything like that, but it is not a book I would have ever picked up on my own. I only read it because my husband gifted me that because I was taking the kids to Edmonton 4 or 5 days earlier than he was going to come down, and then we were going to fly to Quebec the next day after he came in. So it was just a little gift that he gave me, and I'm glad I read it. It wasn't life-changing or anything like that, but it was a good read, and I was nervous reading it because it is like inspired by Shakespeare, and when it comes to Shakespeare and the Old English and that kind of language and stuff, my brain just like malfunctions and can't comprehend what is happening. They do quote Shakespeare quite a bit in the book, but it wasn't so much that I couldn't understand the story. It was bits and pieces here and there that just kind of added to the atmosphere and really showed that they were theater students studying just Shakespeare, basically. And I enjoyed it, and I found it a fairly easy read compared to what I thought it was going to be going into it. So that was good as well. But yeah, that was my July Noir, and I am finally wrapping this up on September 30th. So thank you so much. If you have watched this whole thing, let me know if you've read these books, and if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below. As I was talking about Yannicka, Where Is Your Husband? That is a Christian sort of romance, more contemporary than romance, but it wasn't like smutty or anything like that. So if you have any romance books by BIPOC or white authors or whoever that are more closed door, behind the scenes kind of thing, let me know, because I am looking for more of those. I do read books that are more smutty, but I want story. I don't want just smut. I don't want just sex on the page. That's not what I'm looking for. I am looking for the romance and the relationship part of it. And then if there is stuff on page, I do skip it. That's just my personal conviction, my personal taste. So if you have it doesn't have to be Christian or like Amish romance or anything like that, but more of the closed door stuff, leave those comments down below, leave those recommendations, and let me know what you were reading coming up in October. Normally it would be Blackoween, but this year things have gone a little bit crazy, and Bree is taking a little bit of a break, but still reading BIPOC authors all year long is very, very important. And I do have some books that I was unable to get to in July that are more of the spooky, scary, thriller, crime fiction kind of books that I'm hoping to get to in October. We will see. I am 2 days away from my due date, and the baby is coming. No matter what, the baby is coming on October 2nd. It's not allowed to go past that date. So I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done, but I am usually stuck sitting in a chair nursing what feels like 23 hours a day. So we will see. I might have the time to read, but the mental energy from being up with a baby all the time, I don't know if I can mentally read a lot. We will see. But anyways, again, thank you so much for watching. Go check out Bree and her channel and everything about July Noir, Blackoween, and reading more BIPOC authors, Black authors especially. And I will see you hopefully in another video very soon. Like I said, I'm having a baby, but I have a couple of things in the backlog that I am trying to wrap up here right now. So I will see you in another video very soon, and I will talk to you later. Bye!